Hello and welcome back to the Pitwall Pod, your ultimate source for everything Formula One this season. I'm your host Hannah, and today we're diving headfirst into what was absolutely one of the most intense and dramatic weekends of the 2025 F1 calendar, the Austrian Grand Prix at the legendary Red Bull Ring in Spielberg. This race weekend gave us everything from lightning fast laps in free practice to a qualifying session packed with surprises and tension, and then a race that delivered heartbreak and triumph and a serious shakeup in the championship standings. Today we'll break down every session, FP1, FP2, and FP3, walk you through qualifying and the race itself, with extra insight and what these results mean for the title fight moving forward. Whether you were trackside, watching at home, or just a fan wanting all the details, this episode will bring you right into the heart of the action. So make yourself comfortable, get your race gear ready, and let's jump straight into the 2025 Austrian Grand Prix. FP1 on Friday morning. Friday morning's FP1 session kicked off under mostly sunny skies, and it quickly became clear that Mercedes wanted to set the early benchmark. George Russell topped the timesheet with a slick 1.5.542 lap, just edging out Max Verstappen by 600ths of a second. This was a solid start for Mercedes, showing this ongoing keenness despite some challenges this season. Meanwhile, McLaren fielded rookie Alex Dunn in place of Lando Norris, and the young talent impressed by slotting into P4. This was a strong indicator that McLaren's depth of drivers and a car setup were already promising. For the weekend, Charles Leclerc gave his seat for this practice to rookie Dino Beganovic, who ended in P18. The afternoon session (FP2) saw McLaren really step up the pace. Lando Norris, back behind the wheel, blasted to the top with a commanding lap, followed closely by teammate Oscar Piastri in P2. This front-row McLaren lockout in FP2 sent a clear message to the field. McLaren were dialed in and ready to challenge for race pace. Verstappen dropped to P3, clearly over 3 tenths behind the McLaren duo, a sign that the Red Bull were struggling a bit with this setup. Other teams shuffled through the midfield, with Ferrari and Mercedes showing solid pace, but not spectacular pace. FP3 on Saturday morning is always the last chance to finalize race and qualifying setup, and McLaren continued their dominance. Norris once again led the session with Piastri just behind him. The pair separated by mere hundredths. Verstappen was P3 about 2 tenths slower than the McLaren drivers, which added the question about Red Bull's pace. Heading into qualifying, the consistency from McLaren across FP2 and FP3 gave them a psychological edge as the team looked primed to carry this momentum straight into the crucial qualifying session breakdown. Lando Norris put in a commanding performance to seal pole position at the Red Bull Ring, setting a blistering lap of a 1:3.971, over half a second faster than his nearest challenger Charles Leclerc. This was the biggest pole margin of the season so far and marked Norris' 12th career pole, showing just how strong McLaren were at Austria this year. Norris had already set the pace in both Q1 and Q2, continuing his momentum through Q3. On his initial Q3 run, he claimed provisional pole, but then came back even stronger on his next flying lap to cement his position at the front. Ferrari's Leclerc had a solid qualifying, slotting in P2 despite being 0.521 seconds off Norris' time. McLaren teammate Oscar Piastri faced a setback when a late yellow flag caused by Alpine's Pierre Gasly spinning at the final corner cut short his final flying lap, forcing him to settle for P3 on the grid. Lewis Hamilton rounded out a strong Ferrari showing in fourth place, while Mercedes' George Russell took P5. An impressive performance came from Liam Lawson in sixth, with the Racing Bull team ahead of Max Verstappen, who could only manage P7 after also being hindered by that late yellow flag. The top 10 was completed by rookie Gabriel Bortoleto, who shone by making it to Q3 for the first time and qualified P8, Mercedes Kimi Antonelli in ninth and Gasly in 10th. Q1 recap: Norris fastest, signs out early. Qualifying began under hot conditions with all drivers on the soft C5 tire. Norris topped the timesheet in Q1 with a quick 1:04.672, almost half a second clear of Max Verstappen. Oscar Piastri initially had a rough lap, running wide at turn 4, but recovered to set a strong time and finished P2 in the session. Midfield battles were fierce, and unfortunately Carlos Sainz suffered an early exit in P19 after encountering possible damage on his Williams, alongside Lance Stroll, Esteban Ocon, Yuki Tsunoda, and Nico Hülkenberg, who also failed to progress. Q2 recap: Norris dominates again, Bortoleto impresses. Q2 saw Ferrari's Leclerc and Hamilton start strongly. Liam Lawson briefly topped the timesheet before Verstappen pushed him down, although Verstappen radioed complaints about poor grip, calling the car completely undrivable. Norris reclaimed the top spot with a 1:04.410, beating teammate Piastri by 0.146 seconds. Gabriel Bortoleto impressed by progressing into Q3 for the first time, climbing as high as third in the session before Verstappen and Leclerc pushed him down the order. Disappointments in Q2 included Fernando Alonso in P11 and Alex Albon in P12, both missing out on the final shootout. Q3 recap: Norris clinches pole amid drama. The final session had some drama early on, with a near pit lane incident involving George Russell noted by stewards. Norris set the initial fastest time with a 1:04.268 ahead of Piastri and Leclerc. As the session entered his closing minutes, Pierre Gasly's spin at the final corner triggered a yellow flag, disrupting the runs of Piastri and Verstappen and forcing them to abandon their final attempts. Despite this, Norris improved to his pole lap of 1:03.971, securing the biggest margin of the season. Leclerc stayed P2, Piastri third, Hamilton fourth, Russell fifth, with Lawson's strong qualifying effort placing him sixth, and Verstappen's struggles continued as he could only manage P7. On race day, Norris holds off Piastri for victory in thrilling Red Bull Ring duel. Lando Norris converted his pole position on Saturday into a clean getaway at turn 1 on Sunday, immediately coming under intense pressure from championship leader Oscar Piastri. The McLaren teammates swapped the lead multiple times in a fierce battle, highlighted by a heart-stopping moment at turn 4 where Piastri locked up, narrowly avoiding a collision with Norris. Piastri opted to extend his first stint on the starting tires, hoping to gain an advantage in the later stages, but Norris' pace proved just enough to fend off his teammates' attacks. With calculated tire management and flawless defense, Norris crossed the line first, securing his third win of the season and his first since Monaco. The race saw an early dramatic exit for Max Verstappen and Mercedes rookie Kimi Antonelli after a heavy collision under braking at turn 3, earning Antonelli a three-place grid penalty for the next race in Silverstone. The upgraded Ferraris quietly but effectively claimed podium finish with Charles Leclerc taking third and Lewis Hamilton fourth, even as team boss Fred Vasseur was absent due to personal reasons. Behind the leaders, George Russell finished a strong fifth, while Liam Lawson capitalized on his top six start to maintain position ahead of the Aston Martin of Fernando Alonso and the Kick Sauber of Gabriel Bortoleto, who scored his first F1 points after a spirited battle with Alonso. A notable comeback from the back of the grid earned Nico Hülkenberg valuable points for Sauber, completing a double points finish alongside Bortoleto. Esteban Ocon round out the top 10 for Haas, just ahead of teammates Ollie Behrman and Isaac Hadjar. Tire strategies and penalties played a key role throughout, including a 5-second penalty for Alpine Franco Colapinto after forcing Piastri off track late in the race, and a 10-second penalty for Yuki Tsunoda for spinning Colapinto earlier. Williams endured a disaster weekend with both Alex Albon and Carlos Sainz retiring. Carlos Sainz did not even start the race, while Verstappen and Antonello were sidelined after their collision. Norris' win cut Piastri's championship lead to 15 points as the season intensifies heading into the next round. Hosting the podium, after 71 laps of the Red Bull Ring, it was McLaren's day to celebrate. With a commanding 1-2 finish, Lando Norris took the checkered flag for his third win of the 2025 Austrian Grand Prix, with teammate Oscar Piastri close behind, underscoring McLaren's reassurance this season. Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton took the final podium step, marking a strong weekend for Ferrari and keep their championship hopes alive. George Russell secured a vital P5 for Mercedes, continuing their mid-pack battle, while Liam Lawson, Alonso, Bortoleto, Hulkenberg and Ocon completed the points-paid position. The championship standings tightened, with Piastri still leading at 216 points, but Norris closing the gap to 201, a 15-point swing that sets up a tense battle ahead. Verstappen now sits 61 points behind with 155, indicating a challenging uphill fight for the Red Bull 8. This race will definitely be remembered as a turning point in the 2025 season, especially with McLaren's strong performance showing they can consistently challenge the top teams. Top 5 of the Drivers' Championship: 1. Oscar Piastri, 2. Lando Norris, 3. Max Verstappen, 4. George Russell, and 5th. Charles Leclerc. Top 5 of the Constructors' Championship: McLaren won with 417 points, 2. Ferrari with 210 points, Mercedes with 209 points, Red Bull with 162 points, and Williams with 55 points. That's it for all our full coverage of the 2025 Austrian Grand Prix. McLaren's dominance, Ferrari's steady rise, and Red Bull's struggles have set the stage for an epic second half of the season. The championship fight is wide open as we head next to Silverstone for the British Grand Prix, one of the most historic venues in the sport. Thanks for tuning in to the Pitwall Pod. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. We'll back soon with more race previews, driver interviews, and behind the scenes stories. Until then, keep your engines roaring and your passion for racing alive. I'm Hannah, and this is the Pitwall Pod. See you at Silverstone.